Not much yet.
Do you happen to know if there are any girls here like Officer Jenny or Nurse Joy?
Not really my area of expertise.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
MC.
Thank you. That'll be a new anime, yes. Oh, you picked a grill. I was ready for...
What was the character that was real stretch for you to get out of your shell?
What's a character? You don't have a shell. You never had a shell. Ghost in the Shell. I think for me, I don't know. I am actually kind of a shy guy in normal situations. Like, you know, when we're here, I'm very on, you know, because it's, I don't know, just very natural to me. But in everyday situations, like, it's very difficult for me to go up to people I don't know and start a conversation. So I am a little shy. I think that's what drew me into acting in the first place, because if I have a script in front of me, that tends to bring me out of my shell because I've got something to work with. But when I started voice acting, I hadn't acted in a long time when I started doing voice acting, so I did have to kind of relearn a lot of things. And I'd done it for a couple of years on and off, in addition to having, you know, a quote-unquote real job at the same time. And when I went full-time, I think the first character that really brought me out of my shell in terms of, like, it was Mike McFarlane was directing me in One Piece as Inaru. And it was a unique voice for me. He was pushing me outside of my vocal comfort range and really getting me to dig deep. And he was a very deliciously over-the-top character. So he was like the biggest douche in the world. And he was always huge and just would say the most horrendous things. And it was great. It's very therapeutic playing a character like that because he's nothing like me in real life. He's like the polar opposite of what I am in normal life. So that, I think, Inaru brought me out of my shell. And that was the first role I had as a full-time voice actor when I made the choice to cut ties with my former career and just say, okay, I'm going to plunge headlong into this unsure thing. And I was terrified, but Inaru got me through it. So I think I would credit that with Inaru.
Good answer. Let's hear it for that answer. That was good. I did. That was very good. Yeah. Even though he was kidding around about that, I've always sort of been confident. I won't say ego, but it's always been very confident. I don't shy away from the challenge. So I was also directing a lot of the shows as well. So I even if I cast myself in something or one of the other directors cast me in things, it was also my job, my gig. So I wasn't intimidated by that. I'd be much more intimidated if I had to act on a stage or act in film and something on camera. As a performer, as a singer-songwriter, I can get up and do that stuff on any stage. There's nothing that will intimidate me. That's what I do. But as an actor, these guys who don't have a script, they memorize their script and they act these roles. That would be the thing that would get me out of my shell because I'm intimidated by that. It's not that I've never really done it, and I look at the people that do it, and I'm impressed by it. And that's also the magic of theater to me is that spontaneity of you get off the script and then they bring you, the other actor helps you bring you back into it. I mean, I think that's magic to watch that. Me, I don't jam when I play music. I play it a set way every night. That's what I do. But actors, they're jamming. They're in that free-flowing. I need a script in front of me to know what line I'm saying, what character I'm doing. I've got the crutch. So there's no fear there. But doing what these guys do by going on stage and doing any other camera stuff, that to me would be intimidating, and I have yet to cross that threshold. Good. Give it back. No, there's no way behind. There's no back behind you. I'm sorry. I meant just South Carolina. Mr. Tatum, what if you're gonna is your dad here?
Oh, Mr. Tatum, Mr. Tatum,
can I have a hall pass?
Sorry, you're gonna get mocked. I'm sorry.
Are you with your family member Channing Tatum, and what is
I didn't hear the second part of that question.
about his new movie White House Down?
Let me answer these in reverse. I don't care. Because it's just not my kind of movie. I'm not an action movie guy, really, unless it's superheroes and Thor. Secondly, he's not my relative. That would be creepy. Do you know the thoughts I've had about that man? No! I get asked all the time, like somebody at an airport looks at my license and you're like going through the security line, oh, you related to Channing Tatum? And I'm like, God, I hope not.
Well, there's some states that that's legal. I live in one myself.
I'm screwed either way, really. It's not legal either way.
That's great. Yes, you dear. Yep.
Most difficult scene in a character. Do you guys need time to think? Because I have a ready answer for this. Steins, which one person has seen. In this room. Actually, no, probably. It's a really good show. And this is the one I talked about earlier about the changing me as a person. But Steins is, for those of you that have never heard of it, it is essentially about a bunch of kids, not a bunch of kids, but like a group of kind of nerdy friends or kind of outcasts that accidentally discover time travel. And it's a very unique take on time travel. It's not like they have a machine that takes them to time, not a TARDIS. It's something else. They learn how to send text messages into the past. And it's very realistic. The way everything plays out is very, very, very subtle sci-fi. And what starts as a very, very funny show where the consequences of going back and mucking up the timeline by shooting these texts back in time starts out funny and then slowly but surely becomes tragically dark. So about halfway through the show, things go enormously wrong and it becomes very raw, very real, and all of us on that show, there are about 5 main characters. Guilbeau, the main character, is in every single scene. The story is told from his perspective, and there's a reason for that, which ties into the whole time travel thing, but I won't give it away. I got the chance to work on the show as a writer, as a lead adaptive writer, which means I set the tone, and then I worked with Patrick Seitz. You probably know him, from Germany, from Italia. So an absolutely sublime adaptive writer, and I love working with him. And he and I were huge fanboys for Steins, because it is just an amazing piece of work. And so we need to talk about how we do this. And of course, this is before I have no idea I'd be playing Guilbeau. And when I got the role, I'm like, oh God, I wish I'd known before I wrote it, because I gave Guilbeau a lot of difficult lines. It's hard to go in the booth and record for like 4, 5, 8 hours and then come home and then write for another 4 on the same script, because we were writing the show at the same time recording it. We only have about a 6 or 4 to 6 episode lead on the show as a writer, because we have to turn it out so quickly. So I didn't get away from Guilbeau for a very, very long time. There is a particular scene, I won't go into detail because I don't want to spoilers, but it's such an emotional scene for him when essentially he's pleading desperately at peril to his life to save someone else he knows is going to die if he doesn't do something. And he can't change it, or he can, you don't know, and he is just crying, and like, he's an enormously arrogant, over-the-top character until that scene. And when he's in that situation, he suddenly just sheds all of that and becomes very real. And he's like a little boy who's like, I'm sorry, and he's just bargaining with reality, which we've all done, and it's terribly tragic. And I wrote the scene like a month before it got in the booth, and I cried when I wrote the damn scene because it's so affecting. I'm like, oh my God, it's everything building up to this. And we got in the booth, and I knew the scene. I had done it at home in front of my monitors at home, and I wrote it, and I thought I'd be prepared for this, and I had a complete and utter breakdown in the booth and started crying, and had to like leave, and like I'm like, Colleen Clinton, the show's director, who's wonderful to work with. I was like, there was suddenly this line between Guilbeau and I was completely obliterated, and I had never had that happen before. And so I'm like, I have to take a break. I'm really, really sorry. And I was blubbering. I was like, oh, sweetie, go, get some coffee, do something. And then I came back 15 minutes later, like, okay, let's do this again. And she was like, oh, the good news is we got it. We don't have to get a retake. I'm like, thank God. But if you watch that scene, and you know the scene I'm talking about, it's very real. That is me. That's not Guilbeau so much as just Michael Tatum in the booth crying because I'm so invested in the character he's trying to save. That is the hardest thing I've ever done, ever.
Mine is on anime. I do a lot of audiobooks as well, and anime stuff. I've done some difficult scenes, but nothing really stands out. But when you asked me that question, I was doing an audiobook where I was basically, it was an autobiographical story about an NFL football player. who came up from gangs and drugs and all that stuff and had gotten through so many tough times and gotten to the point where he had made it to the pros. And I'm playing him in this book. You know, he is me. And I'm reading this story, and I kind of knew the overall vibe of the whole thing. But I got towards the end of the book where his drug-using mother dies. And I could not read the chapter. I'm getting upset now talking about it. I kept getting choked up. And then would have to, and all my outtakes while I'm recording are me just going, stop, okay, and try again. And it took me longer to do that one chapter than pretty much the rest of the book. Because at that point, I had become him as an actor. I had taken that role on, and that was heavy-duty stuff. So, you know, there's also the skill of being able to remove yourself enough to be able to get through those scenes. But I guess, you know, we as in this sensitive business we're in, we are sponges. We absorb this stuff. And whether you're a method actor or not, it's like you still put yourself in that place to get that story across. That was probably the hardest thing for me to do, and I still think of that. It was just a tough read, you know.
I love doing the emotional scenes with the anime because I feel like that's what really connects me to the characters is when they're going through something that's so intense. I mean, I just love those scenes in the anime. One of the scenes, though, that was difficult, not because of emotional stuff, but was I got a part in Paranoia Agent. Anyone know that? And I didn't know what I'd be doing. They didn't tell me a character name. They didn't say what the situation was. They told me nothing. So I show up and I said, okay, I'm going to do Paranoia Agent. And it was this kid who's studying for his exams. And he starts, he like sneezes, you know, he does like a little sneeze, and something like comes out of his eye. And he looks like, and it's like the pi symbol or something, like he studied. And then as he goes to his exams, it gets worse and worse. He's sneezing, and then he has just this nervous breakdown. And then he runs to the bathroom, and everything that he studied, he's throwing up. Yeah, and so you see like, you know, so I'm throwing up, I'm sneezing, and then he's putting the words back in his mouth. So I'm having to talk.
It's like a ramen eating contest at an anime con.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what I did. I just ate ramen the whole time while I was acting. That's exactly what I did. But so it was all that stuff, and he has a nervous breakdown. So it was just being able to do all these different things that I had no clue I was going to be doing that day. I thought, okay, I'm going to be talking. You know, I'm doing a character. But a lot of it was just all these different kinds of weird reactions. So if you ever get to see Paranoia Agent, it's called Etc. is the episode that I'm in, and it's pretty bizarre.
Cool. Good questions.
Yeah. Good question. Thank you.
All right, so we got it. Yeah, in the very, very back. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. You guys aren't together. Okay.
She didn't turn around. Ask your questions at the same time.
No.
This one's for Michael Tatum.
Yes.
I was on YouTube and I was watching some Black Butler outtakes. There was a scene where Sebastian is telling the Undertaker a joke.
God.
Oh, God!
You want me to do the joke?
Please!
What was it?
Oh, sorry, never mind. What was your question? I only heard like the first part of it, and then everyone was like,
Did you come up with that on the spot or did you hear it from somewhere?
I learned that limerick from my mother. True story. She didn't know what it meant, and she was a teacher for like 25, 30 years, and one day when I was very young, she came to me, she's like, what does this mean? And she told me this dirty limerick, and it's actually to anybody that's over the age of 9, you're like, well, of course that's what that means, you know, but my mother is very like, just, she's so pure. But yeah, the dirty limerick, there's no curse words in it. I guess I could do it if you want. It's a good one, it's one of my favorites, but like, to set it up so you guys know, there's like a character in the series called The Undertaker who has information, but he'll only give it to you if you can make him laugh. And all these characters try, and so Sebastian, who's very buttoned up, suddenly goes, if you'll just leave the room, I'll do it. And there's a scene where, like, when I just went ahead and just, as a bomb, I took because John Swayze, my dear friend who played The Undertaker, I was like, I'm going to leave him a bomb. So I actually left something that you could hear, because you don't hear it in the series. Everybody just started, the Undertaker starts laughing. So I had Sebastian, and it fit the flaps beautifully for another scene where they're together. So it was fantastic, where he just said, there once was a woman from Kew who filled her the dray with glue. She said with a grin, if they pay to get in, they'll pay to get out of it too.
Oh my God!
tell you when you're Lolita.
JJ.
All right, so we got some more questions. The girl behind you, yes, you. Yes, some good people with good questions, yes.
Okay,
For who? I'll go get it.
I wanted to know what do you love the most about playing Sebastian? Yes.
The fact that I can freak out people with a British accent. True story. I may have been just yesterday or like other cons, but like you can do the Sebastian voice at a con and people just like, it's hysterically funny and not at all. And I used to joke about like, man, I wish that worked in like the real world. That I could just go to someone and be like, hello, how are you? And suddenly I'm just. That never happens. It never happens. Only at a con. But I was at a con, and I was there a couple days after the convention was over, so the hotel went back to like what we call normal. Very, very boring place. And I was just, normal like business people there, and I just decided I was not done being on. So I went to like the concierge desk and struck up a conversation, asking where like a restaurant was or something. And I just did it in Sebastian's voice. I was like, pardon me, darling, I need to know if there's a place where I get a good steak around here, something like that. And this girl who had not been where she was just working this, like she hadn't been there the entire weekend, so she had no idea, she hadn't seen me before, she had no idea that the con had been there. And she just looks at me, she goes, no, what is that? Stop. Seriously, and I'm like, and I just started playing along with it. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Is it difficult to understand? The accent throws some people. I'm very sorry about that. And she goes, no, Deborah, come here, Deborah. Comes over, she's like, say something. I'm like, hello, Deborah, how are you? She's like, no. See, if you were my boyfriend and you talked like that to anybody else, we would have so many problems. And so they were like, I'm going to be here for 3 more days, and I have to speak like this, or she's going to kill me. So I've learned my lesson. No more real world Sebastian. I can tell you the con with me.
Good answer. How about in the very back with this chapeau? That's hat.
What the hell's going on back there?
All right, yeah, exactly. Big Farmer, what do you got there?
On a scale of 1 to triangle, what would you prefer?
What?
On a scale from 1 to triangle.
On a scale of 1 to triangle, what would you, or all 3 of you, do for a Klondike bar?
Word salad, I love it. I don't know. You know what I would do for a Klondike bar? Go my happy ass into the store and buy one. It's not that hard. So you're like, just look what do you mean? I'm like, there's a stand right over here. I'm just going to buy one. They're like 50 cents.
So since he interrupted the nice young lady with the question about ice cream, what was the question you were going to ask?
What was the weirdest thing you had to do to like with your voice that you don't actually do?
Thing that we've been directed to do or something?
You had to do in order for Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh. I like to dub without pants on. You think I'm kidding? I do a lot of self-directing and work in my home studio, so there's times that I just roll out of bed and just go right down to the studio, and why put pants on? It's just me. Sometimes that helps me get into character.
It's incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
Many of you know the Snuggie story that I had to like friends. I lost the accent one day, which I've been doing for 2 years because I had been, recording Sebastian earlier, and I'm like, oh God, why can't I find the friend? There would happen to be a Snuggie that some voice actress had left on the floor, and I put it on, and after that the accent just appeared. So, I started wearing the blue Snuggie every time I recorded Friends. What's not generally known is that on this several occasions, the last few times, actually the very last time I recorded Friends that we have recorded for Italia, I showed up wearing the Snuggie with nothing underneath. Because why the hell not?
That's what I'm saying. We're voice actors. Who cares?
Great. And then Todd came in the booth after me, and he was like, oh, you got this. Oh. And I chased him around the video. It was rather windy that day, too.
What the hell do you do in Dallas?
Coming soon to Showtime.
Doesn't happen in LA.
What is the weird thing about you?
I've never had to do anything really weird to get, voice. I mean, I've had to do a weird voice before, where it was something that was completely different for a pilot, the thing that never, unfortunately, got done by us. But the voice was sort of like a cross between C-3PO and Dr. Smith from the old Lost in Space. And he would do like, oh no, it's the Prism Stones! So I had to do that for 2 hours.